Everyone, Karen Powell from Your Time Matters. Hope your year started off well. Today I'd like to introduce you to a very special speaker who's going to present at YTM on the 27th of February. And I first met this speaker when I belonged to a BNI back when I started my business in 2010. And it was a great experience, and I got a lot of hints on how to network and also how to take on leadership roles. I was an education coordinator, I was a visitor host, and I was president for a while. And so if you were in my chapter, this face will be very familiar to you. It's Braith Bamkin. Hi, Braith.
Hey, Karen. Hey, everyone.
Braith is the Executive Director of BNI Melbourne, Central, West and Geelong. Have I got all that right?
You have.
And
call me Grand Poobah.
And he wasn't all of those things when I first met him at BNI, but he certainly enjoyed BNI, and he's been able to continue helping business owners to and professionals to develop their networks. But today I'm talking to him as the marketing guy. Do you think that networking enriches your life personally and professionally?
Absolutely. Obviously, I'm a convert to networking. I actually started networking very, very early on in my business career, and I didn't know what networking was, but I had a boss in my very early stages of my business life, and she was a consummate networker. Actually, Karen, she was a school teacher too, and she started this business, and she was my first mentor, and she was amazing, and I absolutely adored her. Her name was Judith Sutton, and she'd started this amazing company, and we were doing really well connecting with architects and interior designers, and she really taught me that you had to build relationships with those clients for them to want to do business with you. And part of building relationships was more than just turning up and shaking hands, but really understanding those people and building a deep relationship and offering to help them. And in many instances, we were the connectors between the designers and the architects and other people in the industry. And when I moved to New Zealand to be the country manager for that company called Woven Image, the very first thing that I did was that I used my connections that we had through the Australian industry to connect some of the New Zealand design industry. And there was a lot of instances where I did it just because I knew that building relationships was important. I expected nothing in return. And you know, the universe provides, and I got some amazing jobs. In fact, I got the largest job the company ever had at the time, which was a refurbish from the entire Westpac Bank, and we did that all in New Zealand. It was very exciting. So that was all through networking.
It is, and it's quite amazing. In fact, one of the jobs that I had was in relocation, helping international families move into Melbourne, and it became very clear to me that if you don't have a network, how isolated you are. Interestingly, our daughter's going overseas next month for 6 months on a work placement, and I had a look at the company that she's going to work for, and I had a look at the board, and on that board is someone I relocated into Melbourne probably 5 or 6 years ago, who's now gone back to that country. And so I sent a LinkedIn message the other day saying, do you remember me? And of course it was, yes, of course I do. And So, you know, you never know when those connections are going to come in handy.
I'll remember you because you would have helped them, and there'd be this deep rapport with you because you would have made their lives easy. And that's really what networking is about, trying to make other people's lives easy. And you never know when you're going to be able to come back to that.
Exactly. And it is, I say to everyone, you know, you can have, everybody can be a lawyer or a mortgage broker or whatever, but people actually buying you. So you are your own best business card, but taking as much interest in other people is a really good way to build your network. So tell us a little bit about your background. I know quite a bit about it, having spent the time in BNI with you, but I know that you have a marketing master's, etc. So please just share a bit about yourself.
Well, many, many years ago, Karen, I actually started my career in sales, and I was working in the commercial textile world, and I decided there was only so many meters of fabric you could sell in your lifetime, and I decided to go off and change direction and become a marketer because I was very interested in the way the businesses marketed themselves. I went and did a master's in marketing, which was fabulous. And then through circumstance, I'm sure we don't have time to go through it, but you can always ask me one-on-one. I ended up getting a job in telco, in marketing, and I worked in that industry for a number of years and took brands for Telstra and for Three to the marketplace through channel management, and I loved it. And I then took a redundancy when Three and Orange did their merge, and they gave me an awful lot of money to go away, and I went, great. And I went on holidays, came back, and the job I got was sales and marketing manager for a mattress business. And that, Karen Powell, is how you and I got to know each other through BNI, because we're in business there.
Correct. And I think we've got a few of those mattresses within our family group, I have to say. Yeah. So why do you do what you do now with marketing?
Well, I got the opportunity to go along to join BNI. Look, I think it doesn't matter where you network. I think most business people know they need to do some form of networking, and networking really is a different way of marketing. So marketing has many, many different parts to it, but one-to-one networking really is a very powerful way of generating quality business for yourself. And like any other marketing tool, you need to get really good at networking if you're going to get a result from it. And through my membership in BNI, I ended up becoming one of the owners of the region. As you know, I now own part of Melbourne and all of Melbourne West and BNI regions. But a lot of members were joining, and it became very clear to me that many people didn't know who they wanted to do business with, who they actually wanted to connect with. And I realized that if you don't know who you want to connect with, networking doesn't really have the same level of impact, because if you can't teach me who you want as a client, I can't find you that kind of client through our networking. So it doesn't matter how many events we turn up to and see each other at. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice lady. Unless we know enough about what each other wants to do and we're clear about that, we can't really communicate that to the other party. So it's an essential part of quality networking to know your target market. And so people started coming up to me and saying, hey, I don't know my target market. Can you help me? And you know me, Karen, I can't say no. And I just kept on saying yes to people. And it sort of evolved into its own thing, which is kind of exciting.
Yes, well, I think it's probably part of the BNI training that when people enroll to come to a YTM event, I actually ask who would be their 3 ideal connections. And what I do is I actually match make them. So I might not have, they might want to meet a civil engineer, and I might not have a civil engineer in the room, but I will look and see who are good connections or work in the same sort of field, so that the conversation, because I believe very strongly, as I'm sure you agree, it's about getting your message out clearly to someone else so they can look for connections for you, or might be the next door neighbour or the client of your perfect connection. Yep. So being clear on who you want to talk to and the opportunities that you're looking for is a key part of YTM as well.
Yeah.
With YTM, we're very much about the education side. I think that's because I've been a teacher in my past life, and so very much we focus on that, and we have 3 styles of events. And you'll be talking for about 25 minutes about how to find your target. So don't give it all away, but what are a couple of things that you're going to look at? Because a lot of people say, oh, I know my target market. I know who I'm looking for. I don't really need to go to that event, but I know that you've got some secrets up your sleeve that you want to share.
I do. Well, there really are no marketing secrets, but what there is implementation. And a lot of people may know at a high level that they need to clearly define their target market, but when it actually comes to doing it, a lot of people get really stuck and they kind of go, oh, well, yeah, I know who I want to do. My product serves everybody. And we all know that everybody basically means nobody. So one of the things that I do is I try to help get people to bring their target market to life through a client avatar. So there are a couple of components of that. So there's demographics, that's the where you live, what you do, the do stuff. And then there's psychographics, which are the things that people believe and feel that are the emotional drivers to make them connect and make a sale. Because marketing is everything you do up to the point where you get them in the front door, and that's where sales takes over. So there are a lot of components to getting the marketing right. So I bring that to life through looking at the client avatar. And so we'll have a bit of fun with client avatar when we're together in February.
Yeah, you'll actually recognise quite a few, so that will be a bit of our old homework. And I'm really looking forward to the 27th of February. It'd be lovely to see you, and thanks so much for your time today.
Wow, I'm really looking forward to connecting with everyone there, and thank you so much for the opportunity at YTM.
Lovely. Thanks, Braith.